You have MPs that have told me that they found it really difficult going door to door because a lot of people were saying, we like some of the policies you're doing, but we think your leader's a dick. And we, really?
Well, would you look at that? Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is being given a handout after losing his own seat. So let me briefly go through what's happening here, including at the end. I'm going to get to a quote from a conservative voter that is just mind-blowing, and maybe helps to showcase why, despite losing the election, conservatives generally across the country still did pretty well compared to previous elections. So first, let's take another look at Pierre Poilievre's Carleton riding. That, of course, he lost by about 5 percentage points. And this is the biggest indication that you are not a good politician. People that know you best don't like you. When a leader loses their own riding, despite their own party doing well, I mean, what else do you need to know? It's one thing for Jagmeet Singh to lose his own riding as the NDP gets decimated across the board, all across Canada, because of losing a lot of their vote to largely the Liberals, but also in some cases to Conservatives as well. So, it's one thing if the entire party gets decimated. It's another if your party largely performs well and you still, as the leader, lose your riding. So, I don't think we should lose sight of how insane this is. But shortly after that, Prime Minister Mark Carney came out saying he told Pierre Poilievre he would trigger a by-election as soon as Poilievre can find a vacant seat. Quote, no games, says Carney. Now, there's some debate as to whether or not the Liberal leader and Prime Minister should be this welcoming to Pierre Poilievre and, essentially try to rush through a by-election for a new seat. That said, I actually you could take this one of two ways. You could say he's being too nice to Poilievre here, and there's no way in hell. And I think even conservative voters would have to admit this. There's no way in hell Poilievre would be doing the same thing for Mark Carney. But that said, it's probably in Mark Carney's best interest, at least short term, to keep Pierre Poilievre on as leader. As there, I'll get to a clip from CBC in a bit here, but a lot of people were turned off to the Conservative Party because of Pierre Poilievre. People that may have otherwise voted for the party because of the Liberals being in for so long may have voted for the Conservatives, but Pierre Poilievre is the reason why they didn't. So, even if, let's say in a couple of years, let's say there's another election, since this is a minority government, it would be safe to assume there's going to be another election before 4 years. Let's say the Conservatives win that election with Pierre Poilievre as the leader. I think the Conservative Party may win that election despite Pierre Poilievre being the leader. Meaning, the reality of the situation with the Liberals being in power for so long, people get tired of having the same people in power for that long. And people may just decide to vote Conservative even if they don't like Pierre Poilievre. But having a new leader would actually, I would think, benefit them, potentially bringing over some more Liberal voters. Again, assuming the Conservative Party were to have a leadership race where they put someone else in place as leader who was not as insane as Pierre Poilievre, which is not a given considering where the Conservative base is right now. So, in this hypothetical world where Pierre Poilievre steps down as leader and they bring someone else in, say like an Aaron O'Toole type, I think the party would have a better shot at being able to form government in a future election. But considering where the Conservative base is at, it's not a given that they would vote for a leader like a more moderate in the sense of where the Conservative Party currently is. So regardless of where they are now, there's no guarantee that they're going to really improve even if Pierre Poilievre were not leader. But this gets to the news that Poilievre is going to run for an Alberta seat after MP Damien Kurek agrees to step down. Now, there is an amazing fact about this that I'll get to shortly. But he says here, quote, although it will be hard to temporarily step away from this role. In this region I love and have always called home, the mandate given to me is one that clearly states that change is needed. Offering the seat to our party leader is an important step in that process. Kurek first won the seat of Battle River Crowfoot in 2019. Kurek was re-elected on Monday with almost 82% of the vote. Let me show you how deeply conservative this riding is. So this is one of the most conservative ridings in the entire country. There is not a safer seat that Pierre Poilievre could have chose to take over. And, clearly he doesn't want to risk losing another election. So this is I guess a good idea for him. But what's amazing about this is that Damien Kurek was 6 months away from his pension. So this fact came out during a discussion on CBC.
And I have to give credit to Damien Kurek, who's been an MP since 2019. He's 6 months away from qualifying for his pension, and he's given up his seat for his leader. He obviously has full confidence in his leader. I think that's a big move that he's made. He's a young guy with a young family, so to do that is, clearly he has strong, loyalty to the leader, right, which is a good place to be right now.
Man, I assume they're giving Damien Kurek something out of this, because it is a massive ask to give up your seat like this when you so clearly won it yourself, and doing so when you're 6 months away from a pension, when you have a young family. Just wild. So Pierre Poilievre came out with a statement saying, "It is with humility and appreciation that I have accepted Damien Kurek's offer to resign his seat in Battle River Crowfoot so that I can work to earn the support of citizens there to serve them in Parliament. Damien's selfless act to step aside temporarily as a member of Parliament shows his commitment to change and restoring Canada's promise. I will work to earn the trust of the good people of Battle River Crowfoot, and I will continue to hold the Liberal minority government to account until the next federal election, when we will bring real change to all Canadians." Pierre Poilievre happily accepting this handout, despite the fact that he is for cutting public services that benefit the vast majority of people. But when it comes to himself, he will happily take a handout. This coming from the guy who once tweeted out, "In the real world, if you don't do your job, you lose it." Yeah, unless you're Pierre Poilievre. This is also a quote of his. Now, this is, of course, back when he was much younger, from 1999, but he said recently on the Jordan Peterson show when he was interviewed, that his positions haven't changed since he was a teenager. So here is a position he had when he was a teenager. Politics should not be a lifelong career, and elected officials should not be allowed to fix themselves in the halls of power of a nation. Therefore, I would institute a limit of 2 terms for members of Parliament. Amazing to have that quote claim you've never changed your positions and be in Parliament for 20 years, and then when you lose your seat, take someone else's seat. It's just incredible. I want to share this as well. This is Amar Khan shared this clip out. Robert Fife on CBC's Power and Politics about Conservative MPs' feelings about Pierre Poilievre. And here's the issue that people had when going door to door for the Conservative Party.
You have MPs that have told me that they found it really difficult going door to door because a lot of people were saying, "We like some of the policies you're doing, but we think your leader's a dick." And we really, and we think he is. I'm sorry, but that's what they're telling me.
All right, I'm gonna have some ombudsman's paperwork to fill out before I go home tonight, I think. But yes, not in such language, but I have heard similar sentiments expressed from conservative candidates.
This has been a problem for the Conservative Party over the past couple of years with Pierre Poilievre as leader. A lot of voters that may vote for the Conservatives or would be open to it simply do not like Pierre Poilievre. So, there is a debate as to the benefit to the Conservative Party for Pierre Poilievre staying on as leader, and that debate, in terms of the pro side, really comes down to the fact that the conservative movement may just fall apart, or I should say the party may just fall apart if he weren't there. Because you have this growing separatist movement that is sort of coming back to life or being given life now that we are under another Liberal term. Then you have the Doug Ford sort of wing of the party, the more progressive conservative voters, people that sometimes vote Liberal, sometimes vote Conservative. Yes, to be clear, again, Doug Ford is part of the Ontario PCs and not necessarily the federal. But there is sort of this sentiment in terms of voters just generally across the country, where you have these progressive conservative type voters that are not so open to Pierre Poilievre. So there's various elements of the conservative movement that Stephen Harper was able to keep together. And I guess you could argue Andrew Scheer, Aaron O'Toole also in some ways kept together, though after their first losses, they both had to step down as leader. And Pierre Poilievre as well has been able to at least speak more to the right-wing base and not lose that support base to the People's Party of Canada, which they did lose some of that support in the previous election under Aaron O'Toole. Last thing I had to share here, this is the quote that I had to fit somewhere because it is so wild. But there's this great piece in the Toronto Star, the most honest reflection of the country inside the 905, the writings that helped deny Mark Carty a majority. There's quote after quote from conservative voters that make me want to hit my head against the wall. But let me show you just this is insane. So the message, this is from the piece, the message that a change was needed in government seemed to hit especially hard with younger voters such as Zaki Fakira, a 28-year-old sales representative who says he is disgusted that his community, Ajax, stayed Liberal and that many Canadians fail to see what he does, that only Poilievre can rescue the country. Going on to say here, this quote is remarkable. 10 years of Liberals, the same thing over and over. We're not getting anywhere, and it's going to get worse. They're going to implement different systems to control us more and more. Less affordable housing, bringing in people who shouldn't be in the country. Liberal for me now is anti-Canada, he said, adding he gets his information from Elon Musk's social platform X rather than mainstream news outlets. He also says he's disappointed and he's thinking of moving to Saudi Arabia for better work opportunities and lower taxes. Let me read that again. This guy is concerned that the Liberal government is going to implement systems to control us more and more, and he's considering moving to Saudi Arabia. You see a problem there? This guy wants to move to one of the least free countries in the world because he thinks the Liberal government is trying to control him. All right. Like, it's hard to know how to get through to people like this. And this is the unfortunate element, the unfortunate impact of Trump. Like, not to say that this element didn't exist before in some voters, and of course, social media has made it a lot worse. But Trump really gave rise to this open stupidity. This idea where you're even offended that other people may know more than you, and to even open yourself up to new information is just not something that they're even willing to even consider, let alone take in that information and learn from it. Like, this whole article, I'll link to it below the video under sources. It is just a wild read. But let me know your thoughts below the video on Pierre Poilievre snatching up this seat, accepting this handout from another Conservative MP.